Hey, what's up, players? This is Teddy Long. And believe me, player, I'm keeping it real and letting you know that you're listening to another wrestling podcast. And that's real talk. Holla.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at
the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
They got the answers. I change the question.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
these are the best in the world, brother. These are the best at what they do.
When we talk about the legends of the sport, there's only two in my book.
Another wrestling podcast.
Another wrestling podcast. Now can you dig that, sucker?
Welcome, everybody, to another wrestling podcast. I'm Jonathan Benjamin.
And I'm Steve Credo.
Steve, this is episode 101. No Dalmatians, though.
101. Wow. Jonathan, on 101, it's going to be another special show. It's going to be a crazy show. We're going to also talk to Teddy Long. Teddy Long is going to be joining us, so don't change that channel. Last week, we debuted Jason Regeneration with Jason Sensation. Phone calls were coming in from all over the place. People love this guy. It's quite the segment we have on the show, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, we haven't. There's quite the buzz, as you mentioned, about this Jason Sensation. I am honored and absolutely proud to have him as part of another wrestling podcast, and I can't wait to see what he comes up with this week.
But Jason, I know you're there right now. Can you tell us what we can look forward to later on?
Oh yeah, and just to say, Jonathan and Steve, I'm just as honored and grateful to be a part of another wrestling podcast. So thank you very much for the Jason invitation initially. And coming up with Jason Regeneration today, in light of WrestleMania coming up this weekend, we're going to hear Jason Sensation's top 11 WrestleMania matches of all time. My top 11 WrestleMania matches of all time, and impersonations for each match.
Steve, we have a huge show, not unlike last week, our 100th show, which was just packed with everybody that we could think of to get on the show. But this week is very special because it is our WrestleMania special. We do it once a year. The show of shows, we talk about anything and everything WrestleMania. So I think we've got a lot to talk about this week, but we've also got some other stuff to talk about.
That's right. Before we get into that, I just remind everybody, like you mentioned, episode 100 was last week. We talked to the NXT champion, Finn Balor. You can hear him on episode 100, especially with this weekend being as big as it is with NXT TakeOver and WrestleMania. So just want to remind everybody, make sure you head on over to our website, anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. You can download episode 100, one of the biggest shows that we had. But Jonathan, we're getting into the WrestleMania weekend feeling. We just came off of Raw. A lot of things happened. I want to, we could talk about briefly. Shane O'Mac, Jonathan, he showed the world what's in store for The Undertaker this weekend. And, man, I don't know how to put this, but the man is in shape. He looks to be in better shape than he has ever been in, showing off those Shane-O six-pack of abs he had.
Well, I hate to be the guy that said to everybody, I told you so, but I absolutely told everybody how amazing he is. The people, were chanting, "You still got it." It was a hot crowd in Brooklyn. He went off the top rope and sent Undertaker through the announce table with a big elbow. I think Shane McMahon is going to put on one hell of a show come WrestleMania, and I'm absolutely looking forward to that match probably more than anything else on the card.
That's right. It's definitely, gave us something to look forward to of maybe the carnage to come. But I'll tell you what, man, it's amazing how some of these guys just seem to age better as they get older. And, a lot of people might have had their doubts, but, you said it's definitely going to be something to see this weekend. So, but, the fans may tune in for that, Jonathan, but the fans weren't having it with the return of Eva Marie to the main roster. What happened with this? Because I think at one point it seems that they wanted her to get a good reaction, helping out the faces in this. And I don't know, it was Brooklyn. it's the week before WrestleMania, and the crowd just didn't want it.
Yeah, this was a weird decision to me of all the people that they could have really kind of put on that team. I guess they did want to have Team Total Divas. That's kind of what they were going for, and maybe that was the reason. Now, keep in mind, I am the person that said, and Steve, we saw Eva Marie live in Albany for NXT. I think she's doing fine. I think she's doing okay for somebody who just got thrown into the business. There's always room to improve, and you can't get much better than you can't get much worse than where she was. So I think she's doing better, but I don't necessarily think that she should have been thrown into the mix here for WrestleMania, unless she turns on them, which I could see happening. But as you said, Brooklyn was just not having it, and Eva Marie is WrestleMania bound.
It's almost that Roman Reigns syndrome of being force-fed a little bit, and the fans, I don't know, it's a new era, Jonathan, and the fans aren't having any of it. So I guess we're really going to see what the fans think of her at WrestleMania, especially with the fans being there. So it's going to be an interesting match, that's for sure. But, Jonathan, they also welcomed in one more Hall of Famer into the WWE Hall of Fame. Is it a surprise to you that Snoop Dogg is now going to be a WWE Hall of Famer? I
guess not. I mean, he has been involved with WWE for a while. He's a big fan, which I think is pretty good criteria. But then now also his cousin is Sasha Banks, so that didn't hurt anything in regards to him getting into the Hall of Fame. So I definitely think the acceptance speech is going to be worth the whole night of watching the Hall of Fame, just because I've watched him on some of these roasts on Comedy Central and stuff, and I think that it's going to be probably really ridiculous, and I am looking forward to that.
I'm still a little bit on the fence on this, because as some people just hate seeing some of the certain names get into the Hall of Fame, to where there should have been people way before that. The celebrity wing is kind of a class of characters, if you will, and it's almost like, I guess, if you appear on WWE TV once or twice, you can get into the Hall of Fame. I mean, some of the names that are in the celebrity wing sure haven't done too much to deserve it, I guess, but at the end of the day, it's just, I don't know, it's supposed to be what it is, celebrity wing, but it's Snoop Dogg after all. But Jonathan, coming up on Monday, the night after WrestleMania, will happen to be the biggest Raw of the year again, the Raw after Mania. What do you think what do you think, before we even talk about WrestleMania or NXT or anything, what are your thoughts? Can you forecast anything of what could happen on the Raw after Mania?
It's one of those nights that everybody comes to see. We have a lot of people that are from out of the country that come to WrestleMania, and they really usually make that Raw pretty memorable, whether it be with chants or whatever. So I'm looking forward to that, first and foremost. Secondly, we usually get a big call-up, whether it be somebody who's been involved in the business before, or now NXT, or somebody that's wrestling for somewhere else right now who comes back. So I'm counting on a call up. I've got a few in mind, and I'm hoping more than anything in this world that the tag team division gets a shot in the arm with Enzo and Cass coming to the main roster.
That's right, because they are missing in action at TakeOver this weekend, the biggest weekend of the year, especially with one of their biggest tag teams are absent from this. So hopefully something like that does happen with him. But Jonathan, we also just heard that they're retiring the Divas Championship, from what we hear, and I believe from the voices going around the internet that it's going to be the Women's Championship again in the WWE. What are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts are it couldn't have happened any sooner. I wish that this. I mean, I think the time that they had the Divas almost fit. Like, some of those girls were divas. All right, like, they weren't necessarily wrestlers, but we've now proved that women's wrestling is back and here to stay. So it's time to retire the Divas belt and then bring back the Women's Championship. That's my thoughts.
That's right. I mean, it's definitely going to give him more credibility into a, I don't know. I just think the Divas has definitely had its place in time, and now that time is over. They really just need to keep it as a women's championship, especially you had a whole Divas revolution. I think that whole revolution is going to break down and open the women's revolution. So hopefully it changes things up. Hopefully it gives them a better leg to stand on. But anything could happen. So we'll have to wait and see. But Jonathan, before we even get to NXT TakeOver, before we even get to WrestleMania talk, we got some calls on our hotline this week, and got some people calling in, giving us their thoughts about what they want to see or what they can expect or what they want to expect from this weekend.
Hey guys, this is Stevie from Steve's Wrestling Rambo and Main Event Marks. Just wanted to give my quick thoughts on NXT Dallas and WrestleMania 32. NXT Dallas will blow WrestleMania out of the water, even just on paper of the matches that are scheduled, and WrestleMania in itself. I think the build might not have been great, but I have a feeling WWE has something up their sleeve in their marquee matches that may just turn the tide and fan thought process of WrestleMania. As I always say, wait until you get to the show, then judge it accordingly afterward. Keep up the good work, guys.
What's going on the Wrestling Podcast? This is me, Joey Impersonations. I saw your Facebook post. What are your thoughts on WrestleMania 32? And I just think it's going to be phenomenal. You got Shane O'Mac versus The Undertaker. That match I'm really looking forward to seeing. WrestleMania 32, it's going to be amazing, without a doubt.
Thanks again for the calls, and everyone listening, make sure if you want to give us a call, if you want to cut a promo, leave a comment. We'll play the best calls every week. That's 802-297-7672. You can call 802-AWP-7672, and we'll hope to hear from you soon.
As you're listening to us, there's some ways that you can help us out. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Player FM, and TuneIn.
You can also head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/Another Wrestling Podcast and pick up an official t-shirt of the show.
And if you have Facebook, who am I kidding? Everybody has Facebook. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Another Wrestling Podcast.
And if you have Facebook, I'm sure you have Twitter, so make sure you follow us at A Wrestling Pod. That's A Wrestling POD.
Be sure to check out Another Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Another Wrestling Pod.
And one more for the social media universe. Head on over to Instagram and follow us at Another Wrestling Podcast.
All right, Steve. I'm saying right now, and I'm not one of those jaded internet wrestling fans, I am just going to tell you right now that I believe in my heart of hearts that NXT TakeOver is going to pack more of a punch, literally and figuratively, than WrestleMania this year. And there's a lot of really awesome matches that we're going to talk about. It's being held at the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center, if that wasn't such a mouthful, but it's live in Dallas, Texas. It's going to be a little bit late of a show. It's going to be on at 10, I think, with the pre-show starting at like 9:30. And the first match that I want to talk about is the debuting. We've got several debuts for this show, but my favorite, the greatest man that ever lived, Austin Aries, taking on Baron Corbin. Now, there's been some heat back and forth between these guys on the show. Corbin is mad that Aries came in and stole his thunder. What are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen with this match?
I think, Austin Aries is here to put the guys over, but at the same time, man, I don't know. He's here, and he's definitely going to be an impact in NXT for the I think this whole year in 2016. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon, especially Corbin, but. I think Austin Aries is here to make Corbin look even better than he is, and I think he has to put him over. I mean, part of me says, A double's pulling a win out of this, you know what I mean? But at the same time, this is developmental, and Austin Aries really technically isn't a developmental talent, and Corbin still is in that developmental arena. So I don't know. I'm thinking Corbin pulls out the win on this one, to just push his name even further. But like I said, I don't think Austin Aries is going anywhere anytime soon, and he's still going to leave a mark this year. So if you had to really let me pick one, I'm picking Corbin for the win.
All right. I'm going to go with my heart instead of my head on this one. I'm hoping that Austin Aries pulls out the victory. I'm not sure that it'll happen, but I would love to see. It's taken Aries a long time to get into the WWE, and I think he is really one of the best in the world right now. So I'm hoping that Austin Aries pulls out the win.
Definitely. Now, Jonathan, we mentioned earlier there was a hole in this card with no Enzo or Cass, but the Revival, the tag team champions down in NXT, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, are taking on American Alpha, Jason Jordan, and Chad Gable for the NXT Tag Team Championship. The fans love American Alpha. The fans are all over them. The Revival, they're good, but I'm telling you, man, I think the fans are behind American Alpha, and I think it's going to be their night, Friday night, to win these tag team championships. What say you, huh?
We agree on this one. Alpha is going all the way. I think that they're going to be great NXT Tag Team Champions. And I'm actually looking forward to maybe the rematch that these guys will have, possibly at the next pay-per-view or whatever happens. But Jordan, Gable, I'm all the way 100% behind them for the NXT Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? I'm going to go back to Enzo and Cass for a minute, to where, even at Roadblock, they debuted on a main card pay-per-view with the Revival. They had that Tag Team Championship shot, and they didn't win it. Maybe that's just they have bigger plans in store for them, or what, but I really wish they would have gotten the nod of winning that tag team championship. They didn't, but hopefully we'll see something, what's to come with them. But, at the end of the day, right now American Alpha is the tag team to beat down in NXT, and I think they'll prove it Friday night when they win the tag team championships. Or I always say championships because there's two belts, but it's, I get it.
The next match is it's not a wild card, if you will, but it's one of those things. It's Apollo Crews versus Elias Sampson. Now, Elias is not getting any love from the audience. They're not a big fan of him, and I think time will tell how he does. I feel like a decent wrestler. Crews is just amazing. He's just fast, high action, high energy. I do not see any world where Crews does not win this match.
No, yeah, definitely. Apollo Crews has come into NXT. He's held his own. I think, he still has some things to work on down there, but, he's great in pretty much everything he does. He's a great wrestler. He's a great athlete. I think he's still going to be there for the remainder of the year. And I think he's going to be a top player pretty soon, but, it's one of those matches to where, it's one of those mid-card for the show for NXT, but nothing, it's all, it is what it is. I think a lot of people are coming down on Elias Sampson. A lot of people didn't like him as much in Albany. I think it's a great character. I think he still just needs to work on it a little bit more. He's still new in that realm of getting that push. So I love the guitar gimmick, man. I love that somebody's actually bringing a guitar back to the ring like the good old days. But I think with time, it'll serve him best. I think he just needs to hone that craft down there with his character. But Apollo Crews is definitely unstoppable right now, and I think he has to pull out this win to just keep on moving on to the next step, and hopefully it'll push him even closer to the NXT Championship this year. But I think it'll be a good match. But like I said, Elias still has a lot to work on, but we'll see what happens. Jonathan, a man that's going to be pulling double duty this weekend, Sami Zayn, who's going to be on NXT TakeOver and WrestleMania. I believe this isn't the first time, because someone also did this Kevin Owens at SummerSlam. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But he's also taking on a newcomer, if you will, in the NXT universe, but not a newcomer in the world of professional wrestling. Shinsuke Nakamura is making his NXT debut, Jonathan. What are your thoughts on this? Because this is his first match in a WWE ring in front of this audience, and it's the audience of audiences. You know what I mean? It's the WrestleMania crowd. What do you think about this one?
Well, I think that this is going to be an amazing match. I've been looking forward to Nakamura getting to the WWE for quite some time. There was some buzz going around, and it actually came true. It finally happened. And this is going to be a huge test for him because in New Japan and some of the other places, they don't necessarily have the WWE style. You see that a lot where guys will come over there and they keep them down in the Performance Center for a while because they haven't necessarily wrestled in WWE's style. But what a match to have, Sami Zayn versus Nakamura. We all know that Sami is going to get called up or he's already been called up to the main event roster. But I still think this is going to be a highly competitive match. I look forward to it, and I think that Nakamura is going to, win just because it's his debut. But I would definitely say, if I didn't know what the next two matches were, I would just definitely say that this is going to be the match of the night. Maybe the match of the weekend.
Now, Jonathan, I might want to throw this out there. It's more or less wishful thinking. The Bullet Club. Maybe there's going to be some shenanigans in this. Could we see Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows debut in NXT? Shinsuke's coming from New Japan. The Bullet Club was big in New Japan. I know it's probably not going to be called the Bullet Club here, the Baylor Club, or what have you. But I don't know. Maybe just a way to kind of start some kind of a feud or something. If any of the matches, this one or Finn's match, but I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility to where we don't get a decisive winner and we just get some shenanigans at the end. I don't know.
I think that if they're gonna happen, if they're gonna come out, then it's definitely gonna be the Finn and Samoa Joe match, which I'm more than happy with. I feel like that there's all this buzz about this stuff, and what'll happen is that they'll come out maybe the NXT after Mania or the Raw after Mania or whatever, but I would like nothing more. I mean, not that there's really any reason to, make this show even bigger, but I definitely see that happening versus, the Finn versus Samoa Joe match.
All right.
Well, if you thought that the matches for TakeOver couldn't get any better, I'm almost wondering if they don't put this on last to steal the show. Bayley versus Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, Bayley is one of the people that I'm also counting on possibly getting called up after this show and after Mania. So it will be very interesting to see what happens. But we know that Bayley's going to put her heart and soul in this match, and Asuka is definitely a future champion. Whether it happens on Friday or not, I don't know. But I'm gonna go with Bayley on this one.
All right, yeah. I was kind of disappointed when they made the. We'll get into it. The triple threat at Mania with the girls, and I honestly thought Bayley would have been called up. We would have had a 4 horsewomen match for Mania. But I understand, and if you asked me when Bayley became the champion, if she would have been as great of a champion as she has been, I would have probably said no. She's really come into her own the past few years in NXT. She's been a great women's champion too, definitely giving the fans what they want and definitely showcasing what women can do down there. So, giving all the credit to Bayley, I think it's going to be the changing of the guard, Jonathan. I think Asuka is going to be taking that title away from her. And winning the women's championship. So I think we're going to have a little bit of a change there. I think it's going to be one hell of a match. These two pros wrestling, and what better place than WrestleMania weekend at NXT TakeOver. So I think this is going to be definitely a match to beat this weekend. Jonathan, that leaves us with the main event, Finn Balor, our guest last week on another wrestling podcast, versus Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. What do you see happening? I mean, I don't know. They've had a few scuffles before this one, so it's not like their first encounter. But what do you say, Jonathan? Is Finn going to walk away champion?
I feel like that this could go on for quite a while. Samoa Joe's been picking up a lot of steam as of late. But at the end of the night, I think that Finn is going to still have the NXT Championship. I think it's going to be very interesting. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but I'm almost thinking that the Bulletproof Balor Club may make their debut and make sure, which would be cool, I think, in a way, because we may get to see like either a heel Finn or kind of like one of those in-between things that happens where he's not quite good, he's not quite bad, and you know what I mean? Like, so it'll be very interesting, but I don't think that this is just going to be a normal cut and dry match.
Yeah, Jonathan, at the same time, I agree with everything you say, but at the same time, I'm thinking, with the plethora, I never get to use that word anymore, but I don't think I've ever used it, but with a plethora of injuries happening, I honestly see them moving up Finn Balor to the main roster, and with a loss to Samoa Joe, with Samoa Joe taking the championship, even just for a little bit, even just for a few weeks, even just till the next takeover or something, I don't know. I could see Finn moving up right away. I think he would be awesome on the main roster. But at the same time, there's also that main roster curse. We've seen the handful of other guys who've gotten moved up, and it's just been a disaster. I really hope that doesn't happen with him. It shouldn't happen with him, but at the same time, I'd really like to see him move up. So I don't know, man. At one part of me, it's like I see him winning, like you said, but at the other point, I could see him losing to Samoa Joe to where Samoa holds onto the belt for a little bit. Maybe even putting over Corbin with it if that eventually happens. So a lot of things could happen. I think regardless, at the end of the day, Jonathan, NXT TakeOver Dallas will definitely be one of the shows this weekend. It's the mini WrestleMania before WrestleMania, and if you ask a lot of fans, they say it's probably going to be better than WrestleMania, but we're going to have to tune in and find out, right?
Well, you said it, Steve. It's going to be the show to watch. I can't wait for it. That's Friday on the WWE Network for $9.99 if you don't have it. And Steve, it is our absolute honor and pleasure to introduce the next segment. It's becoming wildly popular here on Another Wrestling Podcast. Lots of requests for it. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Sensation with this week's Jason Regeneration.
And a couple of tra-la-las. That's how we laugh a day away in the video land of Oz. Chirp, 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 and a couple of la-dee-dahs. That's how the crickets stick all day in the video land of Oz.
All right, everybody. Jason Sensation here with Jason Regeneration, and we're going to count down the top 11 Jason Sensation all-time greatest WrestleMania matches. My all-time favorite WrestleMania matches right here, the top 11. In light of WrestleMania 32 having, in my opinion, the weakest card I've seen in a long time. No offense. Like, I'm looking forward to Shane versus Taker, but that might be one of the only matches I'm looking forward to. And no offense to anyone else on the card, but I just feel like it's probably one of the weakest cards I've seen in a long time. Anyhow, enough from me about the card coming up. Let's hear about Jason Sensation top 11 greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, with Jason Sensation imitations to go along with them. Okay, so in at number 11, and we've got a couple ties here, because I couldn't leave some out, I had to squeeze them in, so there's some ties. So in at number 11, we've got a tie between Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13. Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle versus Chris Jericho for the European and Intercontinental Championship titles from WrestleMania 2000. So first down with the WrestleMania 13 impressions. Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm going to turn you into a pretzel at WrestleMania because I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. I'm going to get in the ring with you, Bret the Hitman Hart, and Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to stomp a mud hole in your ass and walk it dry. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Give me a hell yeah. I even went back and did some old school Stone Cold because he even got more of that Texas overtone into his voice in later years. Anyhow, now here's with the WrestleMania 2000 match between Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, and Chris Jericho. When I get in the ring with Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle, I'm going to show them why I'm the best damn technical wrestler in the history of WWE. And I'm going to show them ruthless aggression. Welcome to WrestleMania is Jericho and Benoit and Angle, you rooty tooty booties. AJ Styles, when I get my hands on you, I will defeat you both in the triple threat match because I'm one bad mamma jamma. Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, when you get in the ring with Kurt Angle, you're going to find out why I'm the greatest wrestler of all time. Oh, it's true. It's damn true. And I'm going to bring my three eyes: intensity, integrity, and intelligence. Okay, so there you have it. That's number 11. And at number 10, we've got a tie between the New Age Outlaws versus Mick Foley and Terry Funk. And that's from WrestleMania 14. And Bret the Hitman Hart versus Rowdy Roddy Piper from WrestleMania 8. So we've heard a Bret Hart impression already. Let's try a Rowdy Roddy Piper impression.
Bret Hart, I'm going to put my fingers in between your eyes. You son of a man goat. I'm telling you what, I'm going to show you that I'm all out of bubblegum, hitman.
And the Outlaws fucking Foley.
Oh, you didn't know? You'll have to call somebody.
We got 2 words for you.
That's all I ever heard Billy say. So, anyway, on to Funk and Foley's impression. Me and Mick Foley, we are going to show you hardcore. That's right. When you get in the ring with me, Cactus Jack, and my buddy Terry Funk, bang bang, baby, we're going to beat you, New Age Outlaws. Bang bang! And at number 9, a tie between The Undertaker versus Ric Flair and The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. So Taker and Flair from WrestleMania 18.
Ric Flair, I already did in with your son.
I think this was Badass American Taker, so it's not really the dead man.
Flair, I beat up your boy, and now I'm going to beat you up. At WrestleMania, you're going to go for one last ride, and then you're going to rest in peace.
And Ric Flair's rebuttal.
Undertaker, you want to beat up my son, Ric Flair? I'm going to get in the ring with you. I'm going to chop you down to size. I'm going to figure for those dead legs, and woo, we're going to go for a limited ride all around Toronto. Woo!
Okay, and at number 8, we've got a tie, another tie between Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. I really, the Shawn Michaels versus Austin match, I was a part of WrestleMania 14. Actually, I was supposed to come out that night with Triple H dressed as Owen Hart. That was to be my debut. I'd actually appeared on the WrestleMania 14 fan access. I came out with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chyna. Shawn Michaels got hit with the battery. He ran back to the limo. He was pissed, really pissed off that night. But I came out and I did some impressions with Hunter and Mike Tyson and Chyna in the ring. And that was my original debut. And Vince flew me down to Boston, Massachusetts for WrestleMania 14. So it's personally a really special time for me, WrestleMania 14. And then it was Thrasher from the Headbangers. As I was on my way home right after that, Thrasher was like,
"Hey, Jason, why don't you stay for the rest of this? Like, what are you leaving for? Why don't you just stay, man? Hey, Shane, why are we sending this kid home? I mean, let him stay. Like, he's here. Why don't we let him stay for Mania?"
And Shane McMahon, I couldn't believe how nice he was. He got me a room at the same hotel that everyone was staying at for WrestleMania. He got me a room on his credit card for the entire week to stay there. he gave me some money to go buy some clothes because I didn't have enough. I didn't have a change of clothes. I was only supposed to come down for the segment and fly back home. And Shane put it all on his credit card, and I got to stay for WrestleMania. So it was an amazing week, and I ended up getting paid for the entire week following that. So I'm always grateful to not only Vince McMahon and Vince Russo, but also Shane McMahon and Thrasher. Anyway, special time for me, Shawn versus Austin, main event match from WrestleMania 14. Also, I was on the road with them, so they kept repeating this match over and over and over again. They would repeat this match on the videos before Raw. So the entire, cast of everyone working for the show, we'd be watching this video, and they'd play the match of Austin versus Shawn to the music of Bittersweet Symphony. And it kind of instilled the match in my mind, just watching it over and over again to that music. So that's what makes this match kind of special to me. But anyway, I think we've already heard an Austin impression, so let's hit it with the Shawn Michaels impression.
The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, is going to kick Stone Cold's teeth right down his stinking throat.
And the other one, Bret Hart versus Austin. We've already heard an impression of both Bret Hart and Austin. So let's move on to number 7. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage. I know that's a lot of people's number 1, but that's my number 7 match in my top 11. Ricky Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage. And I don't know how good my Steamboat is, but I'll try a quick Ricky Steamboat from my old video game of WCW.
Who deserves the belt? Who deserves the belt?
There you go. There's my Ricky Steamboat. We're going to save Macho Man for a little bit later. In at number 6 for Jason Sensation's top WrestleMania matches of all time, we've got the British Bulldogs versus Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus Beefcake from WrestleMania 2. What I loved about this match is I would be at all the house shows. I mean, I was at 3 or 4 house shows prior to Mania where the Bulldogs almost got the belt. They were just seconds away or so close to winning the belts from Beefcake and Valentine, and it was such a great feud at the time. And if the fans were on the edge of their seats hoping for the Bulldogs to win that belt. So when they finally did win the belts at Mania, it was so much more special. So anyhow, here we go with Valentine and Beefcake impressions.
I'm Greg the Hammer Valentine, and me and Brutus Beefcake, we are the Dream Team. That's right, baby. Me and Valentine, we're the Dream Team, and no one's going to take the gold from us, baby.
Okay, not bad anyway. I need a little work on the Beefcake and Valentine. But let's hear the rebuttal from the British Bulldogs.
That's right. Me and Dynamite Kid, we are the British Bulldogs, and we are going to beat Valentine and Beefcake in the ring. We're going to prove why we are better. Ain't that right, Dynamite? That's right, little boy. We're going to get the ring. We're going to give them double drop kicks. We're going to go over the top rope. We're going to give them flying headbutts. We're going to give them power slams. We're going to give them flying splashes. We're going to win the tag team champions. And then the British Bulldogs, we're going to leave the ring, and we're going to be tag team champions.
There you have it. In at number 5, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant from WrestleMania 3. One of my favorite all-time matches when the Hulkster picked up the Giant. I mean, that's a moment that'll stay in everyone's mind. And that was prior to this WrestleMania coming up. That was the largest crowd we've ever seen for a United States wrestling event. So Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. We'll try a quick impersonation here of Andre and Hogan. Here goes.
Hogan, I'm going to shock you. I'm going to rip your cloth, and I'm going to be WWF champion.
And then the Hulkster's rebuttal.
Well, you know something, Andre the Giant, brother. What are you going to do when Hulk Hogan and all my Hulkamaniacs run wild on you, brother?
Okay, in at number 4, we've got Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. I was there in the Sky Dome in attendance for that. And I forgot to mention this for my number 9 tie match between Rock and Hogan. I was also in attendance for that one. I was actually, luckily Molly Holly invited me to the party, so I got to do some more stuff with WWE. That was pretty much my last time working for them. I worked fan access for WrestleMania 18, and I did a comedy segment with Will Sasso. So WrestleMania 18 was special for me. The Rock versus Hogan was in at number 9, and that was a really special moment, seeing the crowd erupt and Hulkamania reborn in the middle of the match there, right at the beginning. Like, you could feel it in the audience. You could feel, and I remember being part of the audience, and all of a sudden it came over all of us. Like, oh my gosh, this is why we were here in the first place. Like, we remembered Hulkamania. We remembered when Hulk Hogan put us in these seats for the very first time, and it kind of something that came over the entire crowd was really exciting and amazing. I was happy to not only be a part of that Mania, but be in the crowd for when Hulkamania was reborn that night. It was a very special moment. But anyway, so Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, another amazing match. I was cheering for Hogan at the time, and I was really saddened to see the Ultimate Warrior win the belt. You know, it was kind of the end of Hulkamania, but it was a first. It was a huge build-up and an amazing match. And Hogan versus Warrior, I mean, one of my favorites. It's top 4. It's number 4 on the top 11. So I ended up getting interviewed, and I was in the newspaper for the Toronto Sun. So I've still got a whole bunch of copies that my dad went out and bought. But if you see Ultimate Warriors on the cover, you turn the page, and there's little young Jason aspiring to be the next Mean Gene Okerlund. Yes, a dream that almost came true. Anyhow, then we go on to number 3, and that is Bret the Hitman Hart versus Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. And we've heard a Bret Hart impression, so let's add in a little bit of his brother Owen impression. Here's Owen Hart from WrestleMania 10.
Bret, you're going to find out at WrestleMania 10 why I am better than you, Bret. I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And don't you forget it, brother. WrestleMania, you're going to find out that I don't live in your shadow anymore, and I'm better than you, Hitman. Woo!
On to number 2, we've got Bret the Hitman Hart versus Shawn Michaels, the 1-hour-long Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12. Definitely so many people's number 1 match of even all time. It was an amazing, amazing match. I can't even give it enough props. It's probably one of the best technical wrestling matches I've ever seen in my life. And it was both wrestlers at their very best in their prime, Bret the Hitman Hart and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. Hats off to them. They're in at number 2. And finally, the number 1 match, Jason Sensations' top 11 WrestleMania matches of all time. The number 1 match, WrestleMania 7, The Ultimate Warrior versus the Macho Man, Randy Savage. I'm so happy I've used up so much of my voice now that I have to do impressions of these two, because these are probably the hardest 2 impressions to do. It was just maybe 2 weeks after my heart attack that a friend called me and asked, can you please call my friend and do this Warrior and Savage impression on his machine? It'll be the perfect birthday present for him. So I did it, and I almost blew a gasket. I mean, I almost felt another heart attack coming on just doing their voices. And I called my friend back and said, I'm going to need some time, you know, to not be able to not do this. I need some time to regroup after my heart attack, to not do these impressions. I didn't realize that I was going to blow a gasket just doing their voices. And my friend came up. He said, you know what? It's funny, but those guys talk like that all the time. You know, imagine how they took that. You know, so good point for my buddy there, Chad Dobbin. But anyhow, here we go. Impressions of The Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man Randy Savage. For my top number 1 match of all time, WrestleMania. Number 1, Jason Sensation match is Warrior versus Savage.
Oh, yeah. Ultimate Warrior. Macho Man Randy Savage will not lose his career in the ring. Oh, freak out. Because, Warrior, you're going to see that the Macho Man Randy Savage is better than you. Yeah, I'm better than you. I'm going to prove it in the ring at WrestleMania 7. Yeah, when I drop the elbow on your throat. Yeah, and beat you 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. Dig it.
His opponent, The Ultimate Warrior.
Macho Man Randy Savage, you will feel the power of the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7.
So there you have it. Jason Regeneration with Jason Sensations' top 11 wrestling matches of all time. We're going to get back to Jonathan and Steve. Thank you very much for having me, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to be here. Tune in next week for more Jason Regeneration on another wrestling podcast. It's always a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to WrestleMania this weekend. Week card, but WrestleMania sells itself. I'll be looking forward to the entrances. I'll be looking forward to the glitz and the glamour and everything that comes with WrestleMania, and I'll definitely be looking forward to seeing Shane McMahon back in the ring. Alrighty, thanks a lot. All the best. God bless. See you again and talk to you all soon.
Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house, play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go a while.
All right, Jonathan, it's the showcase of the Immortals, WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, Texas, at AT&T Stadium. 32 years in the making, Jonathan. Are you excited for WrestleMania 32? Because a lot of people are not. Just because, from the injuries with everybody out, there's a lot of things happening. But, they still happen to make a card, and it's going to be WrestleMania. It's happening, this Sunday. What are your thoughts before we even get into any of the matches?
Who gives a shit? It's wrestling. It's WrestleMania. Good WrestleMania, bad WrestleMania. It's like pizza.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The man has spoken himself. He's right. It's WrestleMania. It doesn't matter what's happening. It's freaking Mania, I guess. It's happening. It's going down, Jonathan. And this is the first time it's kind of going to be on multiple platforms before it even starts. And it's kind of different. It's kind of odd. But Jonathan, there's a pre-show. There's like two pre-shows, or it's a pre-show that's just really big that goes on to multiple things. So
it's the pre-show.
The pre-show of the Immortals. So at first, the first hour is going to be on the USA Network, and I believe that's going to be featuring Kalisto versus Ryback for the US Championship, and that's a free match, Jonathan. If you're not paying for the network, if you're not paying for WrestleMania, you could still watch this match live on the USA Network. What are your thoughts on this? A freebie for everybody.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that I'm really excited for WrestleMania. I want to find out exactly kind of where some of these loose ends get tied up, but also I want to see exactly how many people fill this stadium. I know that lots of people have been trying to get these, attendance records, and Vince has really been going to these huge stadiums in the past couple of years. But do you think they're going to hit the 100,000, the magic number, Steve?
I don't know, man. It's WrestleMania. I want to say yes. But at the same time, just looking at the card, I don't see anything that's a drawing factor that's like, wow, we cannot miss this. Besides the fact that it's just WrestleMania. I mean, it's a win-lose question on my end. Like I said, one point it's WrestleMania. It should fill it up. But at the next point, it's a huge stadium, and that's a lot of seats to fill. So I don't know. I think they will beat the last WrestleMania that I was at, WrestleMania 29's attendance, where it was over 80,000 plus people, and that was, believe it or not, the second highest WrestleMania attendance record. So I think they're going to at least come close to beating that, or beat it. I don't know, Jonathan. It's hard. I would like for them to do it, though. It's WrestleMania, and records are meant to be broken.
Well, with matches like Kalisto versus Ryback for the U.S. Championship, I don't know how they won't break it. That is sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen. And in this match, I am looking to the Ryback. I'm thinking that he's going to walk away your U.S. champion. Kalisto, they are really trying to get him. They're lacking great Hispanic talent. I know that they're looking to replace that market, and Rey Mysterio is now in Lucha Underground. So I think Kalisto is really trying. They're trying to give him a push to the moon. But I'm thinking the Ryback walks away U.S. champion.
Well, Jonathan, I'm going to have to disagree because I really think this is, out of all these matches, is probably one of those David versus Goliath matches to where, Ryback's a lot bigger, a lot stronger than poor little Kalisto. But, I think he's going to overcome it. I think we're going to see what this guy can actually do, not being held back. And it's the first match of WrestleMania, and what better way to start it off than with some a lot of high flying moves, a lot of, you gotta get people to subscribe. So this is your freebie match. What better way to do it than give them one hell of a match? And I don't know. I think Kalisto is going to hold on to the U.S. Championship. I think it's going to be a hard win, hard fought win, but I don't know. I think the kid's going to keep it, and he may earn Ryback's respect, or at the end of the match, he may not and just get beat down again. But I'm pulling for Kalisto in this one, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, then I think, it is a bit confusing at the moment. I will say that I think after the USA Network, they go to then the WWE Network for the pre-show of the Immortals, and we get another tag team match that kind of feels thrown together. That is the Usos versus the Dudley Boys. And I'm assuming that it's going to be the Usos, Uso Crazy, are going to take down the Dudley Boys. And I would assume there's going to be some tables involved because they've been skirting around that for a while. I respect all the people that are in this match, but I just think it even feels isolated on the card. And I feel like that, the people just aren't going to be that into it. All right. Well, then I think, it is a bit confusing at the moment. I will say that I think after the USA Network, they go to then the WWE Network for the pre-show of the Immortals, and we get another tag team match that kind of feels thrown together. That is the Usos versus the Dudley Boys, and I'm assuming that it's going to be the Usos, Uso Crazy, are going to take down the Dudley Boys, and I would assume there's going to be some tables involved because they've been skirting around that for a while. I respect all the people that are in this match, but I just think it even feels isolated on the card, and I feel like that the people just aren't going to be that into it.
Well, Jonathan, I don't know. Part of me thinks that the Dudley Boys are going to lie, cheat, and steal their way to a victory in this. They have been playing the heels as of late. Part of me also says they need to put over the younger guys. It is WrestleMania, putting over the Usos. But I don't know. I think they're going to do some shenanigans where they sneak away with a win. And I don't know. If this was a tag team championship match, I would have liked to see the Dudleys win it. But, once again, everybody's like, they don't need it. They don't need to win it. But, I don't know. I think if we get a heel team in the Dudley Boys as tag team champions, I think whoever's going to be chasing them will be in for one heck of a push and one heck of a ride. So, I don't know. I'm going to pull for the Dudley Boys in this. I really, the Usos really haven't been doing too much as of late, and that's why they're on the pre-show. So I don't know.
All right. Well, I think that regardless, we're getting these matches. They're kind of warm-up matches, prelim matches before the main show. I think we've got one more, Steve, and I think that you're really excited about this match.
Oh, I am. The Total Divas versus BAD, Bad and Blonde. Poor girls, man. Poor divas, poor whatever you want to call them. WrestleMania now just seems to become... we have a lot of people, so we need to find something for everybody, for them all to do something, and that's what this match is. Granted, I love Natalya, I love Paige, I love a lot of these girls. Naomi's a great wrestler. A lot of these people in here have a lot of great talent, but it's one of those matches, like I said, they're not in the Divas Championship match, so they need to give them something else to do just because they're not on the show. And that's what I think WrestleMania has been coming as of late to be. It used to be that, the best of the best get like these matches each year. Now it's just like, we have all this talent, let's find something for them to do. And unfortunately, it's matches like these. Another pre-show match, the Total Divas. We saw what happened. We talked earlier about Eva Marie coming back on Raw. and the heat that she got from it. I guess they were hoping for the fans to cheer for her. They did not, and it's almost like if she's on the wrong team, if you will. So, I don't know, Jonathan. Usually, if this was on the main show, it would have been a quick 5-minute match. But since it's on the pre-show, there's a lot of girls on each team, 5-on-5. They're probably going to give them a decent amount of time, but, I'm not that interested in it. I'm sorry, but, all these girls don't need to do something. And, if anything, maybe they should just make a tag team championship for the women's division, because there's so many girls that have nothing to do, and they're just chasing that one title. So, I don't know, Jonathan. I'm not really excited about it. Maybe the only thing I'm excited for, this is Lana's debut wrestling match at WrestleMania. She's going to actually be wrestling for the first time, so that should be the only thing, I guess, to look forward to.
I'm glad to see Emma back as well. Emma on the main roster, and I'm excited, I guess, just to see how these women do. There's got to be people that are stepping up, because obviously later on the card we have an amazing match for the now Divas Championship, but soon to be maybe Women's Championship. So I'm looking forward to a few of these divas actually stepping up and separating themselves from the pack on that night.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be, it'll be interesting, I guess. But I guess these pre-show matches are supposed to kind of entice people to actually subscribe or get WrestleMania, and they're more or less like, the undercard of everything. And I guess, I don't know. It is what it is, but everybody's going to have a match at WrestleMania, apparently. So we'll see what happens. But as you can see, we're not too excited about this one.
Are you saying that this is the Gooch of WrestleMania? Is that what this is?
Is that PG? Can we say that?
There's a G in Gooch, so I think it's fine. But, the match that just narrowly skipped the pre-show was this year's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We've had 2 winners prior to this year. We've had Big Show and Cesaro, as a matter of fact. So this year, I've already got my pick, but I'm very interested in hearing who you have in this. I think it's a 20-man elimination match.
Well, Jonathan, if you asked me a few months ago, my first pick, honestly, was going to be Neville. I figure, what better push to give a guy who's maybe not that big or not that tall or whatever, than give it to a young high flyer such as Neville, or I would also even said Kalisto, if he didn't have a match, if he was in this Andre the Giant Battle Royal. But the name says itself, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, so I think at the end of the day, it's going to go to a big man. They've been really hot with Braun Strowman as of late. I think he's still, the Jolly Green Giant. He still has a lot to learn, but yeah, you saw what he was doing in the Royal Rumble and whatnot. So I think out of anything, none of the Wyatts have a match. If all the Wyatts are in this match, minus Luke Harper, I think it'll be a showcase to show how strong the Wyatts are. And at the end of the day, I think they're going to give it to Braun Strowman. I don't know.
I was going to kind of say something similar. I was going to go with Bray Wyatt, but now that I really think about it, I'm going to go with Heath Slater from the Social Outcasts. Ouch. They've been doing a lot. This is my what is that called? He's the underdog for sure, but this is my dark horse pick for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I think that Andre would be proud and very happy if one of the Social Outcasts walked away the winner. It also could be Kane. I don't know.
That's another thing too. I was thinking about too. If anything, it'd be a nice nod for Kane. He hasn't really had much victory as of late, and that's a lie, because we saw him at WrestleMania 29 with Daniel Bryan, and he won with the tag team match. But he hasn't really been showcased in a solo match kind of a thing where he won a big match like that. So I could see Kane winning it too, as kind of like a nod and a thank you, and I think that'll probably be his last big win at a Mania like that. So I could see it going to Kane too as well. But interesting. Anything could happen, Jonathan. It is WrestleMania, Jonathan. But if we could start kind of maybe from the bottom to the top of this card, before we get into the other matches, Jonathan, apparently The Rock's going to be there. And we haven't heard anything else from The Rock since the night after the last pay-per-view, saying that, he's going to be at WrestleMania, yada, yada, yada. What are we going to get from The Rock, Jonathan? Is it going to be anything more memorable, or, I don't know, is it just going to be, finally, The Rock is coming to WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah?
I think it's definitely going to be memorable, but I see this happening one of two ways, all right? Right now, the New Day is 3, and the League of Nations is 4. There's talk of the New Day kind of going face after Mania. What better way to have him go face, than adding The Rock to talk smack to the League of Nations? So The Rock comes out, helps the New Day, and bing, bang, boom, that's it. There's also a chance that The Rock gets involved in the Triple H versus Roman Reigns match. Those are my 2 thoughts on what The Rock will be doing, but there is also a chance that he just shows up and says, finally The Rock's come back to Dallas, Texas, and thanks, and I'll collect my paycheck on the way out.
Well, I could have swore, man, that he would have made an appearance on Monday Night Raw at the very end just to entice the crowd a little bit more and get them excited for WrestleMania, but he didn't. Hey, all right, it's it almost goes back to John Cena saying, he's gonna phone it in via satellite or whatnot. But I understand that he's a busy man, but I guess a little bit more Rock participation would have been great if he said he's going to be doing something. But I guess we'll see. Jonathan, AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. I honestly thought back then a few months ago that this should have been the 3rd match these two should have had. This should have been the final match out of out of this. This will be the 4th match out of these guys. What do you think? Has it been too many matches since the Rumble till now with them, or should they have waited?
I don't think that this is too many matches. I understand what you're saying, and I think that having the 3rd match at Mania would have been cool. I really didn't like the whole AJ or Y2 AJ thing that happened. I think that was just kind of strange too. But I think that this match, when Chris Jericho's involved, I think the match always has potential to steal the show. And now that you add AJ Styles, but also there's a lot of high hopes for this match. And I remember a couple of years back when it was Jericho versus Punk at WrestleMania, I thought that match was going to be the greatest match ever, and it ended up not being, anything that remarkable. So I have high hopes for this match. I absolutely hope that it impresses everybody and that everybody does well in the match. But I don't know. I feel differently about Chris Jericho now than I do the past couple of years. He's a great talent. I think that he's one of the greatest of all time. I have huge respect for him, but I don't know, man. Is it is it time for Jericho to hang him up?
Yeah, this is the guy who put over Fandango at WrestleMania 29, and Jericho's accomplished a lot in his career. He's had many victories, a lot of accomplishments, too many to list. And this is, I think, AJ Styles' moment. I think AJ Styles, even though, granted, he hasn't been in the WWE too long, but, I think he deserves this kind of a win, and I think Jericho should put him over, and I think that would be the right thing to do. I definitely don't think Jericho needs a win. This has to be the final match in their feud. They did what they did, and I think AJ Styles' first feud in the WWE with Chris Jericho was great. I think it was a great person to put him with, but I think he definitely needs to put him over and let AJ carry on from there. So hopefully that will happen, I guess, pretty much.
Well, and I think we talked about this before, but we don't really know how many more WrestleManias that AJ Styles will actually be a part of. You know what I mean? Like, he's a little bit older than some of the people, and so we hope for a very long career, but he could retire at any time, and at least he's going to get one WrestleMania match, and then from there, let's hope that he's got a few more. But if his first one had to be with anybody, I think it was good that it was Jericho. But I was hoping maybe that he would have been part of like this next match that we're going to be talking about.
Definitely, Jonathan. The next match, some say it should have been a one-on-one match, and this whole 6-man, whatever you want to call it, match should have been for the U.S. Championship, but, we're going to get what we get. And, this match, I'm almost afraid that, WrestleMania is becoming too much of a repeat. Granted, everybody loved the Money in the Bank match because, it was different and you won a contract and it wasn't its own pay-per-view. But now it's for the IC Championship again this year, just like the Battle Royal. I think, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal should have been that constant every year at WrestleMania. Like, that's the same thing we're always going to have, but every match will be different. Right now, this is the second year in a row that we have the IC title on the line in a ladder match. I don't really like that much. I wish they would have changed it up a little bit, and I wish it would have just been Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. But we're going to get Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Dolph Ziggler versus Zack Ryder versus Sin Cara versus The Miz and versus Stardust for this IC Championship. Jonathan, without getting into too much, who's your pick, man? What do you see happening?
Like I said earlier, I go with my head a lot instead of my heart, or my heart a lot instead of my head. My heart is saying that Sami Zayn walks away with the Intercontinental Championship. My head is saying that Kevin Owens retains.
Yeah, Kevin Owens has been solid gold on the mic. He knows he's the perfect heel. He knows how to get the crowd going and started. He's been great with the IC Championship. I hope he goes in there as IC Champion and leaves as IC Champion. But also, with all these injuries, Jonathan, I think I would like to see a wild card and Zack Ryder. I would love to see somebody different, a big surprise, somebody who you wouldn't think winning it just because. And even if he wins it just for a night and then loses it on Raw the next day, whatever. I would still just love to see that moment where, Zack Ryder had that momentum years ago with his Internet Championship, his own show. He had matches with Cena and the United States Championship, and then it just faded away. He got pushed to the back burner. But he's really proved himself over the last few years, especially working in NXT, working with other talent. And I don't know, Jonathan, I don't think Kevin Owens needs the IC Championship anymore, especially if he goes into a program with Sami Zayn. Granted, yes, they could fight for the IC Championship, but there's so much story back and forth that they don't really need it. And if you kind of give it to Zack Ryder or any of the other guys, that just it's something for the mid-card guys to do, because right now I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are pretty much main eventers as it is. But that's just wishful thinking. I would really love to see a Zack Ryder win. I know it's probably not going to happen, but that's just one of those wild cards. But at the end of the day, I think Kevin Owens is going to be walking out the champion. Crazy, huh?
Okay, all right. Well, you said day, and I'm saying it's a new day, and it's New Day versus League of Nations. This match did have somewhat of a build to it. It looked like for a while it was going to be for the tag team championship, but now it does not seem that way. So that kind of lets me know that something's going to happen in this match, whether it's just like a huge brawl where the ref calls it off or whatever. I don't know, but the New Day, we said they're starting to get a new attitude. It seems like they are going to end up being faces or trying to be faces. Right now they're kind of in between. Half the people love them, half the people hate them. And then the League of Nations, we've got Sheamus, we've got Del Rio, we've got Wade Barrett, and we've got Rusev. And I'm not for sure what's going to happen, because there's talk of Barrett leaving the WWE after his contract expires. So I like the guys in League of Nations. I don't think that they're there's nothing that's that bad about these guys, but it's WrestleMania, and I'm calling it right now. I don't know what's going to happen in the way of entrances, like who's going to have the big entrance this year or whatever, but I have a feeling that New Day is going to do something big, and there's probably going to be unicorns.
I hear that one. And yeah, Jonathan, I think this match falls into that category of that everybody needs to be on WrestleMania. Unfortunately, it's one of those things to where I don't think everybody needs to be on WrestleMania. I know they have an abundance of talent to where they could be used other places, but this match, I think honestly it should have been the New Day versus the Dudleys versus the Usos for the tag team championships, and that should have been the match. But once again, there's so many tag team matches going on and whatnot, and it's just so many guys being put together just because whatever the new rule is that everybody has to be a part of WrestleMania. I don't know, but it's a lot of these guys. If you look back in the League of Nations, Del Rio had a championship match at WrestleMania. Sheamus has been in championship matches at WrestleMania. Rusev lost his United States Championship match last year at WrestleMania. They're all talents to be reckoned with, and they kind of all joined forces, and they really had nothing to do. So if they weren't doing anything, I didn't know what else you could do with them. And it's just, I don't know, it's one of those throwaway matches. I mean, good thing we had Teddy Long on today, because, I feel like he booked WrestleMania with all these tag team matches and team matches and whatever. But I think the New Day, whatever does happen, I think they're going to be walking out with the tag team championships, if it's even on the line or whatever's going to happen. But I don't see the League of Nations winning, so I think it is going to be a New Day at WrestleMania for sure. Jonathan, we spoke earlier of the Divas Championship. Possibly this could be either the last night for the Divas Championship, or maybe something happens to where now they're fighting for the new Women's Championship. Maybe, I don't know, it could be debuting at Raw, Mania, who knows what's going to happen, but this match, Charlotte versus Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks in a triple threat for that Divas Championship. It's been a Divas revolution for the past few years right now, and I guess this is the first time they're actually going to get to show it with these incredible talents. And who do you think is going to be walking out the last Divas champion ever?
I'm going to say that it's going to be Sasha Banks. I'm fine with the outcome of any of this, but I'm also not for sure that we won't get a fourth added to this match. We talked a little bit about NXT. There's a chance that Asuka walks away the NXT championship, or the NXT Women's Champion, and I'm thinking that maybe Bayley gets called up, and it's the 4 Horsewomen for the Divas Championship, which would be awesome and a cool way to do it. But my guess is that Sasha wins at Mania, and her cousin Snoop Dogg brings her out to the ring.
All right, yeah. Definitely, Jonathan, I kind of love your thinking. I wish it would happen. I kind of wish we were booking WrestleMania just for those facts right there. But I think, this match will probably be one of the best matches of the night. I think these girls know the kind of spot they're in, know what kind of match they need to deliver, and it could be a contender for match of the year. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they're going to be put on the spotlight. I hope they get put on later on as almost near the main event, as one of the last 3 matches at least. Who knows what's going to happen, but definitely I think something big is going to happen. I know you said Sasha Banks, you're hoping for winning, but honestly too, man, I think Becky Lynch, her fan base has exploded a lot in the recent weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised if Becky won the title as well. So we'll see what happens, though. But either way, the fans are going to win during this match, right?
Yeah, and we've got a lot of those matches, I think, at WrestleMania. The next one is Dean Ambrose, the Lunatic Fringe, versus the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar, no holds barred street fight. And I'll tell you, they've done just about everything they can to make it look like that Dean is a viable competitor for this match. Like Brock Lesnar defeated The Undertaker, John Cena, Hulk Hogan, Kurt Angle, you name it, he's defeated them. And you got Dean Ambrose, who's just crazy enough to have something like this happen. So, I am nowhere near thinking that Dean is going to win, but I think it's going to be one of those crazy matches. They're going to end up fighting all over the place, and I definitely put Brock Lesnar as the winner of this match.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree. I mean, this is the guy who put the 1 and 21-1, Brock Lesnar. It's WrestleMania. There's no way this guy should be losing any more matches to anybody for a while. I mean, he's the new phenom, man. I know we lost the streak when Brock Lesnar won, but we also gained a new, larger-than-life presence to be held at WrestleMania, the guy to beat at WrestleMania, and I think he's going to remain that guy for a while now. Probably not as long as The Undertaker went, streak-wise, but, he's definitely going to be the guy to beat, and I'm sorry, I'm not a Dean Ambrose fan, but I get what they're doing with him. I get how he's, that wacky, Cactus Jack kind of a guy, Terry Funkish, new generation, if you will, of that, reincarnated into Dean Ambrose. And, no holds barred fight, anybody could win. I doubt he's going to be using that chainsaw, but, I think it's going to be a crazy, wacky match. I just hope there's no low blows because, God, I'm sick of seeing Brock Lesnar get a low blow in every match just because. So hopefully it's a decent match. No holds barred street fight. Will they take it outside? Will it leave the ring, or what will happen? I don't know. Dean Ambrose, I think, will prove himself, I guess, to the audience and to everybody at home that he can go one-on-one with Brock Lesnar. But at the end of the night, I do not see him winning. I see Brock Lesnar walking away the winner again, and rightfully so, because just because it's a no-holds-barred street fight does not mean you can get a win over the Beast incarnate. So I'm hoping for a big Brock win on Sunday. But regardless, the show must go on, right? The second-to-last match, I guess, that's going to be happening. Who knows what the order will be come showtime, but Shane McMahon, Shane O'Mac versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell. Under the rules stated by Vince McMahon, if The Undertaker does not win, it will be his last match at WrestleMania, and if Shane wins, he gains control of Monday Night Raw. Jonathan, anything could happen in this match. A lot of people say a lot of shenanigans can happen. A lot of people can interfere, but does it even need that? I mean, we saw what Shane could do. We know what Undertaker can do. Does this match need to have a lot of smoke and mirrors in it, if you will?
I don't think so. It's one of those things. It's similar to the Brock versus Dean. If you look at it on paper, there's no way that Shane McMahon should win, but there is a chance that he can if somebody comes in and interferes or whatever. We all know that Shane can go. Most of us know that Shane can go. Brian, Woes, we know that you're going to be there, and I want you to just get ready to make your apology, your public apology, whenever this match steals the show. I think that it's going to be a great match. There's a lot of possibilities inside the cell, outside the cell. I just hope that everybody ends up walking away from this match because Shane, I think, feels like he has something to prove, even though he doesn't, and we all saw that on Raw. He's an amazing performer, an amazing talent, and I would like to see Shane win this match, but I just don't think that this is going to be The Undertaker's last hurrah.
Jonathan, I'm gonna play the other side of it because I really do think Shane is going to win, but I don't think he's going to win on his own. I think, Vince is going to call an audible, and I believe he's going to get somebody to help him on his quest of The Undertaker remaining the champion. And I also think someone's going to help Shane out. Who? I don't know. I really can't even picture anybody or who right now, whether it be Steve Austin, John Cena, yada, yada, yada. Someone's going to interfere in this match. Something's going to happen. But at the end of the night, Shane will put the 2 in 21-2 for The Undertaker at WrestleMania. But Vince McMahon said if he loses, he will never wrestle another WrestleMania match again, blah, blah, blah. But I believe Shane will be gaining control of Raw, and I think there's going to be something in that to where there's a loophole to where Shane says The Undertaker, of course, will be wrestling in whatever. So even though they said it's going to be his last match, I'll tell you what, Jonathan, too. I'm even thinking in the top of my head, on the fly, every time they say there's a stipulation where it's going to be your last match, it usually ends up being their last match. Granted, people aren't, could this be The Undertaker's last match? Sting has been hurt. They didn't do that match. How does The Undertaker even go out anymore? I mean, there's been a lot of injuries. Some were saying it was going to be John Cena versus The Undertaker this year. Could this be the last match for The Undertaker? I mean, you don't just drop that bomb of saying last match if, it's not going to happen. So I don't know, Jonathan. I think, maybe they don't make a big deal of it to where they don't really announce this is his last match. Like, when Steve Austin had his last match, they didn't really say it, but that was his last match. Even when Shawn Michaels lost his match against Steve Austin and was kind of leaving, didn't really, say, hey, this is it. I don't know. I deep down inside, I'm really thinking this could be the Undertaker's last match at Mania. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of stipulations, a lot of things to think about, so many things that can happen. And the more I think about it, the more I do think Shane is going to win, and this will be the last of the dead man. Maybe the last of the dead man at WrestleMania, but he could still wrestle all the way through. Maybe he can end his career at Survivor Series. Who knows? But I think maybe for Mania, I don't know. I think this could be the end for him. So we shall see, Jonathan, right?
Yeah, and we've talked a lot today. We've got a lot still in store on the show. We've got Teddy Long coming up, but right now it's time to get into the last match of the night, the main event, if you will. Triple H, the WWE champion, going against Roman Reigns. Now, we all saw what kind of reception Roman got at Brooklyn. It's going to be very interesting to see how the fans in Dallas, Texas react to him. But I don't know. This match for me is I'm in the minority. I actually enjoy this match because I think that Triple H is going to put on a really good show. I think Roman's going to try his hardest, and I want to see Roman, earn all those people's respect, because right now I don't think they have it, and I think that come Sunday, come hell or high water, Roman's going to have to sink or swim, and I think it's time for him to swim, and he's probably going to walk out again, the WWE champion, and I'm hoping, if this is the case, that this kind of sets up something that we get Shield members facing each other kind of later in the summer, maybe a triple threat for the WWE championship.
Yeah, definitely. And, last year Roman Reigns showed what he could do with Brock Lesnar. People didn't want it, and people didn't really know what was going to happen until Seth Rollins cashed in. And kind of saved him a little bit, if you will. But this year, I'm telling you, man, it's the fans of the fans. And right now, it's just almost cool to boo Roman Reigns. To whether even if you don't hate him, there's fans out there that just want to boo just because everybody else is booing. And I think the biggest thing I want to see out of this match, and I know, at the end of the day, Roman's going to get the clean win over Triple H. But I'm telling you, man, I don't know. It's depending on whatever happens in this match. I really want to see the fans' reaction at the end, because you have all these people who are all the fans, the marks of the marks. The being at WrestleMania. And it's a different crowd experience when you go to WrestleMania, especially the Raw after WrestleMania, and it's not just any other pay-per-view. These are the fans of the fans, so it'll be interesting just to see the crowd reaction they get, because as you saw, as of late, Triple H was doing everything in his power to put this guy over to the moon, and even the beatdown on Raw where he shattered his nose or whatnot, the fans were cheering Triple H. And granted, that could have just been, a location or whatnot, but every time they did something with him and Triple H, it's hard, this generation of fans, it's hard to, play a good guy or bad guy, because it's cool to cheer for the bad guys now. Nobody, even like back then in the NWO, everybody liked the NWO when they were bad guys. It's almost like to that aspect to where, we're cheering Roman Reigns or we're booing Roman Reigns just because, other people are doing it or whatnot. You get kids and maybe the ladies out there love him, but then you get the guys out there who, a lot of people have said over the past 2 years he's just been shoved down our throats, to where his push, his rise to the top hasn't been as organic as it was with like Daniel Bryan, if you will, where the fans were just behind him. This case, poor Roman Reigns, he's won Superstar of the Year, he won the Royal Rumble, he did this and that, and no matter what he did, nobody wanted to accept it. They didn't care what he did. They still wanted to boo him. So I'm telling you, man, at the end of this match at WrestleMania, I'm not going to be looking at him raising the championship belt. I'm going to be just looking at the audience because I'm kind of curious of what it's going to sound like in there. And that's that's what I'm really looking forward to in the match. Not saying that this is going to be an incredible match. I'm just from what's been going on the past few months and at least the past few years with Roman, I'm just kind of curious of what they're really going to do to where he finally gets it because even a few months back here, he's already a one-time WWE champion. And to my thinking on that, it was that they gave him the championship win on Raw on that just to kind of maybe see if, okay, we'll get it out of the fan system to where they could boo him. He's already won it once. But if he wins it again, it's not going to be that same kind of reaction. So, you know what I mean? Like I said, they've tried every trick in the book for him. And I think come Mania, we're going to find out what happens. And, you know, if you can't beat him, I say join him to where I think we're going to see a heel turn. Whatever he does, either on Mania or Raw, I think, you know, at the end of the day, maybe we'll just get a heel Roman Reigns. And we'll see what happens with that. Maybe they'll cheer the heel Roman Reigns. And it's almost like, you know, that's all they really needed him to do. But I don't know, Jonathan. I know I talked your ear off on that, but it's going to be an interesting main event. I'll tell you that, especially when they get to 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about this. This is another opportunity, really, I think, for The Rock to make his presence known. Maybe he shows up to help Roman, and what better way to get Roman over as a heel is maybe him attacking his own cousin, The Rock. So that's something that could happen. But you know, we talked a lot about WrestleMania today. We talked a lot about NXT TakeOver. We talked to Jason Sensation. But now it's time to talk to the man who makes the matches, the former general manager of SmackDown. Holla holla. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Teddy Long.
You know it's the Mac Militant. Coming to get it on. Hey, get out of my way. I'm coming to thunder and lightning and striking. I'm inviting you all to the storm. Feel the pain that I try to contain. My heart is as black as the blood in my veins, and I'm coming to get it on. Hey, yo, I break and smash and straight whip ass. I can see the fear in your eyes every time that I pass.
Our next guest spent decades doing just about anything you can in the world of professional wrestling. He has been a referee, a manager, a general manager, and has even mixed it up in the ring. No doubt a future Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Teddy Long.
Hey, what's going on, players? How you doing?
Well, thanks so much for coming on today. How's everything going?
Well, hey, man, everything's doing great, man. I'm having a great time. A lot of people, been wondering, how to contact me and how to get in touch with me. So let me kind of brief you on that. You can keep up with me at my new website. It's called TeddyLong.com. You can go to TeddyLong.com and you can go to my Twitter from there. Or if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's at TeddyPlayerLong. And also on the website, it'll take you right to Facebook, take you to all my videos, all my podcasts, and anything you need to know, about me, you can find it all right there. So, and other than that, man, doing a lot of independent shows and stuff for a lot of guys, having a lot of fun, getting out on the road, meeting all the players again, and I'm really enjoying myself. I had a chance to come home for a while, get some rest, get my health back intact, and I feel great, man.
Well, it's great to see that you're so busy. I've been looking at this TeddyLong.com. It looks amazing. I had a couple questions about it, though. I see that there's going to be a Teddy Long's Fan and Playa Club that's going to be launching really soon. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Well, we're working on that right now, man. I'm meeting with a team of guys. We got a bunch of interns that are working for us, man, doing a great job, and getting stuff out there. So right now, it's not too much I can tell you about it. All I know is maybe about, I'd say maybe September, October, we should have it up off the ground. But the Teddy Long Players Club, it won't be a fan club, it'll be Players Club. So we're going to be offering a lot of stuff. You can go there and you can, get merchandise, and you can get a lot of things. So we're still working on that right now. So I didn't want to say anything about it until I make sure that we done finalized it and we got it up and ready to go.
You got it. Now, I also see that there is a book that's going to be coming out soon as well, Life After Wrestling. What can you tell us about your process of writing this book, and has it been good for you to get all these stories from over the years out on paper?
Well, what inspired me really to do it, I had a real successful career in professional wrestling. My total years in for professional wrestling is about 33 or 34 years. And, and I'm not trying to sound racist about it, but me being as a black man, in this sport, it was hard and it was a struggle, but thanks to the, grace of God that he blessed me to make it, where I am today. And I had a real successful career in professional wrestling. So a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know, and I think a lot of people would like to know. So we're going to put stuff like that in the book. Some, road stories where, we had a great time on the road, laughed and joked, a lot of, the book ain't going to be a lot of negative stuff. You know what I mean? I don't feel like people, want to read negative stuff. People want to read something that's going to benefit them and something that's going to help them in the future. So that's what the book is going to be all about, man, is putting stuff in there that's going to benefit, people and help other guys that are trying to become professional wrestlers. I hope there's something that I can put in the book there that will inspire them to continue, their pursuit. Also, we're going to talk to a lot of other wrestlers. They're going to be, having some words to say in the book. I already talked with WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons, and, me and Ron, we go way back with the team of Doom. And, he's going to have some quotes in the book and a lot of other people. So that's another project that we're working on. The main thing we had to do, is we had to get the website up and get it going. And so finally we got that done. So now we can start working on the other parts for the book, the Teddy Long Players Club, and a lot of other stuff that's going to be added to it. So, I definitely will promise you around, September, October, we'll have some new info out about the book and also about the Players Club.
All right. Well, that's great. So I know that, usually your wrestling career gets talked a lot about, what you did in the business and all that. But I was curious to find out if you had a story about how you first became a fan of professional wrestling. Did you watch it when you were younger, or did you go to any of the shows? Do you remember any of the people that you really liked back then?
Well, the way I got started in professional wrestling, I liked it. I watched wrestling, I started watching it on TV, and at that particular time, there were people around like, the Four Horsemen were there. You had Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, Kevin Sullivan, some of the all-time greats, the Undertaker, he was back there then, he was Mean Mark Callis. But the way I started, in professional wrestling is I just started going down to the TV station here in Atlanta where they were taping the wrestling shows. And I used to go down every Saturday morning and watch the tapings. And I happened to run into Abdullah the Butcher, who came to Atlanta, and he didn't know his way around, so he kind of needed somebody to show him how to get around. So I started riding with him, and on Saturday mornings, he would come and get me and take me down to the TV station for the taping. And that way I had a chance to get in the back, where the guys were. So the first job I had, and this wasn't a job because I didn't get paid for it, I used to go to the ring and I would get all the jackets and stuff. When the guys took off their ring gear, I would take that from them and, and take care of it. And I would also clean up the TV stations, where there was a mess. I just did a lot of stuff around there that I didn't get paid for. But, like I said, I paid my dues. But anyway, that's how I kind of started. And one night, the first job I got was putting up the ring, taking the ring down. And they needed somebody to do that. So I got that job, and I started getting paid for that. So I started getting some money. So after I got the job of putting up the ring, taking the ring down, we had a show one night in Marietta, Georgia, at the Cobb Civic Center, and the referee didn't show up. And so the promoter, Louise Manning, she's still alive today. I had a chance to thank her, for giving me the job because, she was one of the people that, made it happen too. So anyway, Louise asked me, could I referee? And I told her no. She said, well, don't worry about it. We don't have a referee. So get on in there. I'm going to get you a shirt, and the guys will help you. They'll talk to you. They'll take care of you. So the first match that I had was Ron Bass and Black Bart, and it was a Texas Death match. So I did that match, and then I did some more. And finally, Dusty Rhodes gave me the job. Gave me my first job as referee on the TV. So that's kind of how I got started.
Did people in your time have a harder time breaking in than people today, do you think?
Well, times have changed. You know what I mean? So you can't expect, the guys of today to do what the guys of yesterday did. You know what I mean? I mean, that was just like, what you done, to make it. Guys don't have to do that now. The business has kind of changed. It's different now. So opportunities are not as easy, are not as hard to come by as they was back then. So I wouldn't expect anybody to do that. You know, I mean, I think if somebody breaks into the business now and they've got a, you know, gimmick or whatever they've got and it's going to work, you know, it's going to make money for the company, then if they don't have to pay any dues, fine. You know, put them out there. You know, times have changed, you know, so I'm just saying what I had to go through and probably a lot of other, you know, people. I mean, and this just wasn't black people there. It was white guys that I worked with back in the day, too. They had to struggle, too, just like I did. So it wasn't no racist thing. It was, you know, everybody, you know, had to struggle back then. So, you know, like I said, I wouldn't want anybody to have to go through that. I'm glad, you know, things have changed now, you know, and guys can come in now and kind of, you know, get over and, you know, make some money, and they don't have to go through that stuff.
When you first decided to start getting into the business and you know, helping out or whatever, did you have any backlash from, you know, family or friends or anybody telling you that you really shouldn't get involved with professional wrestling?
No, I didn't have any backlash because none of my family and anybody watched professional wrestling. They didn't. They had no idea. You know, they didn't care anything about it. So finally, when some of my family realized exactly, you know, what I was doing, I had got a job as a referee on TV. So that's when they started noticing it. But they didn't pay me any attention, you know, because like I said, they didn't watch it.
You started climbing the ranks of pro wrestling early in your career. After a referee didn't show, you were asked to fill in. How nerve-wracking was that experience, and what did you feel is the most important part of being a referee?
Well, the first match that I had, it was really horrifying because, like I said, it was a Texas death match, and in those matches, you know, the guys just bleed all over the place. And that was the first time, you know, I'd been in there, you know, with the blood and stuff, you know, and it scared me to death because I thought these two guys were going to kill themselves. So I was really horrified, but they talked with me and, you know, and we got through it. You know, refereeing all over the world, you know, it was a great experience for me. You know, I enjoyed it. I think that one of the matches that I remember that was really great for me, you know, in my career, you know, I had the match in Chicago at Chi-Town Heat. It was Ricky Steamboat against Ric Flair. So at that time, you know, Flair was on top. You know, he was a man. And so to have the opportunity to get in there, you know, with the World Heavyweight Champion and to referee a match like that, you know, it was especially an honor for me. And, you know, I was really excited about that.
Now, you were, like we mentioned earlier, jack of all trades in the world of professional wrestling. Not too long after you started being a referee, you even started managing. Who would you consider some of your favorite managers of all time, and was there specific things that you learned from them?
Well, some of the guys I didn't meet. I had a chance to work with Jim Cornette. You know, he was a great guy. You know, he's really a great talker. And a lot of people don't know this. When I was managing Doom back in the day, and Cornette had the Midnight Express, you know, we worked with them for quite a little bit. And they used to have this name that they called me, and it was Peanut Head. And that was the name that I didn't like. Well, Jim Cornette was the one that started that. He started calling me Peanut Head. And I loved that because we made money with that. And people, you know, they couldn't wait to call me that. So Jim Cornette, you know, he was a great guy, you know, great manager. I also had a chance to meet Gary Hart. God rest his soul. I mean, he was a genius, man. I certainly learned a lot from Gary Hart. A lot of guys that I wish I could have met, like Lou Albano. You know, I didn't never get a chance to meet him. The Grand Wizard, I never got a chance to meet him. But, and by the way, Bobby Heenan, you know, I had a chance to get with Bobby. What a great guy he was. So, you know, he was one of my favorites. And, you know, that's about it. You know, like I said back then, you know, it wasn't a whole lot of, you know, a lot of guys doing any managing. But some of those guys that I named, and Skandar Akbar, he was another one. He was another great. I had a chance to meet with Skandar. So that's about it.
As a manager, you managed both good guys and bad guys. Did you find it easier, or did you enjoy playing a certain role?
Well, I enjoyed working with the heels more than I did the baby faces because, you know, when you're working with the good guys, you know, there's not a whole lot you can do. So when I was working with the bad guys and I was being a heel, I enjoyed it because I enjoyed the cheating part, and I enjoyed, you know, interfering and, you know, causing a ruckus and making the people real mad. You know, I enjoyed that. So I enjoyed being a heel more than I did the babyface.
Okay. Now, obviously, in the world of professional wrestling today, there aren't a lot of managers. Do you think that's something that should still be a part of wrestling today?
Well, I still, I would say yes. I still think it's needed because you got a lot of guys in the sport, that are, got a great look, great body and everything, but they have no mic skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you got some guy, that can talk, or and talk a good game, know how to get his guy over, then I think you should use that. So, like I said, it is limited now. There's still a few around, that come out, but I totally agree that I think it's still needed because some guys, they need a mouthpiece. And like I said, Roman Reigns, for instance, I love him. Great look, great body, great guy, man. But his mic skills are a little slow. And that's not only him. There's been a lot of guys that wasn't able to talk. And that was, when I had Doom with Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, not them not being able to talk, but, I just had the jive part about it, the soul part about it, you know. And that's kind of what the people like. So, like I said, I think managers are always needed.
That's awesome. Now, in the late 90s, you made your way to the then WWF, now WWE. You had traveled all over the world for different promotions. What were your initial thoughts about the company that you had just joined whenever you got to WWE?
Well, I got to the WWE in 1998, and everybody's dream was, when you worked in the NWA or you worked in any kind of promotion, it was always the place that you wanted to be because of, the Hulk Hogan era, and it was just great there. And so everybody always dreamed of, hey man, boy, if I could finally get to the WWF or the WWE. So when I finally made it there, it was great for me. I went in as a referee. And that didn't bother me at all, even though I'd been a manager and did a lot of things in professional wrestling. That was like a step down. But you just go in and you have to kind of continue to pay your dues. So I went in as a referee, didn't bother me at all. They paid me well. I had a good check, didn't bother me at all. And so I was just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. When somebody said something to Vince about what I could do, and they brought me in so I could, and I had the opportunity to show him what I could do, and I went from there.
You began your WWE career during the infamous Attitude Era. Were you surprised at how popular wrestling became during that time?
Well, I was when I went to the WWF, I did. It was certainly a lot different from being in WCW. WCW was great. Don't get me wrong, man.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing okay. But, it was like a cancer. It was just something just waiting to spread. You know what I mean? It was just bad, behind the scenes, the way things were being ran there. So, to get away and to get where a professional company was great. I mean, it was ran professional when I got to working in the WWE. It was just a whole different, it was like night and day. And so I was happy to be there.
Now, after being a referee for some time in WWE, you became what you're arguably best known for, and that's a general manager. What were your initial thoughts when you were told that you were going to be a general manager? Were you happy to get that role, or what was going through your mind?
It was Vince's idea as to put me in the role of general manager. I had no idea. I knew nothing about it. All I knew, I walked on the TV one day, and they told me, said, you're going to be general manager tonight. Vince is going to make you general manager. So it's pretty nervous. I hadn't, that's a pretty, top position to be in. That's like being right on top. That's like being world champion. That carries a lot of responsibility. And I had never, had that much responsibility, bestowed upon me. But, what are you going to do? I can't say no, and so I just took it and I said, hey, it's me and God, you just show me the way and I'll make this happen.
Well, you became just an extremely popular person in the world of professional wrestling. What do you think about yourself made all the fans love you so much?
Well, because my character was me. That's why. Because and when I first started managing, they wanted me to be like Don King. I'll never forget the writers came and told me that. And I just never, I never did take their advice because I couldn't be like Don King. I mean, I just couldn't do that. But I had street swag. I've been out in the street, all my life. As a teenager, I called myself a little hustler on the street. So I had street swag. So I took the street swag to TV, and that's what made people like me. I was myself. When I started saying player, I had a big Labrador retriever, a big dog named Boss. Well, I used to call balls player. Just around the house, I just kick around, and I pat him on the back, balls, get out of the way, player. And I just took that to TV. And the other thing I did with the dance that I started doing, I got that dance from my grandson. My grandson, we bought him this little walker thing, and we used to put him in it. And every time he'd get in that thing, he'd start bouncing around. And so I just took it to TV and started doing it because I wanted him to see me doing his dance on TV. I never did think about, people would start liking me to do the dance, but that's how the dance came about. And a lot of things that I said on TV, it just came from me. They wrote a lot of my stuff. And matter of fact, Vince McMahon was one of the main writers. A lot of my stuff that I did, it came from Vince. Vince wrote it. And that made me feel real good, for him to trust me, with his project, stuff that he wanted. But he knew that I was going to go out there and he knew that I was going to make it happen. And so, he gave me a great opportunity, and I wouldn't dare do nothing to let him down. That's my whole thing was, man, I'm going to make this man proud of me. He gave me the ball, and I'm going to score some touchdowns.
It seems that wrestling may be on the cusp of another boom period these days. What are your thoughts on the current state of professional wrestling?
Well, I don't think really nothing has changed. I think a lot of things in professional wrestling now and professional wrestling now is, gotten a lot better, especially for the talent-wise. We see the WWE, we see Raw, and we see SmackDown, and those shows are, struggling a little bit. And that's kind of because, they need, some more talent there. They got guys on the roster there, but, if you're seeing the same guys every week, sometimes that kind of gets stale. But you have to have different storylines. You have to have different things for them to do so that they don't get stale. And like I said, there are a lot of guys I know that they have in NXT that they're training and getting ready to bring them up, And so hopefully that they can create some stars with some of those guys from NXT, and get some new faces out there, and get wrestling back to like it was. But I think it's going to – let me tell you something about Vince, man. He's a genius. And when things fall down, he certainly knows how to pick them back up. So I think, there's just going to be a big change here after WrestleMania, and I think the big change is going to work.
Now, are you surprised kind of with the amount of mainstream coverage, like TMZ, ESPN, Rolling Stone, that professional wrestling's getting today?
Well, yeah, it should. Wrestling is a big brand now. You know what I mean? People watch it. It's all over the world. So, I think it's great. That's how I believe, wrestling came to be as big as it is today because of cable TV. And when social media took over, I remember Vince saying one time that social media was going to be the deal. Wrestling was basically going to one day move to the internet. That's where it was going to be. And so you see with the network and all this stuff, all that's working, so it's just changed. It's the 20th century now, man. And time, things are changing, and certainly you have to change with it.
Now, speaking of Rolling Stone, the fabulous Freebirds are being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame class. They're also joining Sting and The Godfather. Do you think you'll be going to this event this year? And what are your thoughts about this year's class so far?
Well, I think everyone that they're inducting deserves it. You know what I mean? The Freebirds, Michael Hayes and them, they've been around a long time. I had a chance to work with those guys back in the day. So they certainly deserve to be there. The Godfather, was great in, with his character and what he did. He deserves it. Everybody they inducted Sting. Sting's been around. I had a chance to work with him when I was in WCW, so everybody deserves that. Now, whether I'm going to that or not, I haven't got a call from them. If they call me, I'll be happy to go. But if they don't call me, I won't be there. Right. So, like I said, I congratulate all of them. Everybody that they're putting in there, I feel that they deserve it.
You now spend a lot of time traveling around to independent wrestling shows. What do you think about how far independent wrestling has come? And what's your favorite part about doing these shows?
Well, it depends on what independent wrestling which show you're at, what group it is. I've been to some independent shows and they've just been really bad. But that's because they don't want people to tell them what to do. They think they already know everything, and so they don't want to listen. So a lot of guys on the independent scene, they don't understand, about drawing money. They just jump in the ring and think you're supposed to take a lot of bumps and yell and scream at people, and that's it. But there are a lot of guys out there, and I'll give my credit to one guy that's down in Louisiana, Luke Hawk with Wildcat Sports. I had a chance to go down and work for Luke, And Luke has got his stuff together down there. And also, there's a group that I am running now. It's called the Alabama Wrestling Federation. I'm the vice president of that company. And we'll be doing a show this Saturday coming up in Pascagoula, Mississippi. So what my thing is, when I watched Luke Hawk, I had a chance to work with him. Luke had a meeting, just like, we're having, like we're having at WWE. You meet with the guys, you meet with the wrestlers, you have rehearsals. You do things, to make the show be as best as you can make it, because that's what it's all about. You give the people a good show. That's what they want. They're going to come back to see you. So, like I said, that just depends on what independent wrestling company it is. But there's some guys out there, that, like I said, Luke Hawk with Wildcat Sports, he's done great with that. I'm doing good there with the Alabama Wrestling Federation. I had a chance to go with some guys there this past Saturday night in Illinois. It was called Crash Test Wrestling. They're doing good. I'm also involved with another independent group down in St. Port Lucie, Florida. It's called Ignite Wrestling. They're doing a great job. So I'm going to be going down and helping those guys run that company. So we're going to, try and get that, it's off the ground, but we're going to try to make it better than what it is right now. Also, another guy that's J.B. Cool. He has Fighting Evolution Wrestling that comes out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He's got a nice company down there that he's trying to get going, so I'll be working closely with him. Also, me and Ron Simmons and Tuco Scorpio and the Boogeyman will be on a show down in Miami for a big spring break on March the 25th, so that we got that coming up. So I'm just enjoying giving advice to the independent guys, especially when you find some of them that want to listen to you and they want to learn. But like I said, you got a lot of them out there that think they know it. They'll tell me they've been in the business 10 years, 15 years. So, but they don't know. They still haven't learned a thing. So they don't want to learn. They already know. But to work and give guys advice, that are trying to make it and hopefully make it one day to the WWE, those are the guys that I enjoy talking with.
Who are some of
Lightning
your
round.
best friends in the wrestling business?
Well, I have Mike Yoda. He's one of the referees there in the WWE. Me and him are real good friends. I love Mike. R-Truth, he's a good friend of mine. Mark Henry, another great guy. Alberto Del Rio, really nice guy. And certainly The Undertaker, man. I had a chance to work with him over the years. And he's one of the nicest guys that you could ever meet. So there are a lot of guys that I'm friends with there. I got along with everybody. You know what I mean? If I had any heat with anybody, they never told me. But, you always got heat. You can't put, everybody don't like you.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, like I said, those are a few names there. There's some guys that Ron Simmons, great, good friend of mine. The Boogeyman, just in fact, I talked to Boogeyman today on the phone. So there's a lot of guys there. John Cone, he's another one of the guys, one of the referees there. So, I could, think about it. I could name a lot more, but we're going to move on.
What does Haterade taste like?
It's real nasty. It tastes like cotton liver oil. If you ever drink cotton liver oil, then you know what Haterade tastes like.
All right. Now,
all right.
You mentioned The Undertaker. Who are you rooting for this WrestleMania match, Shane or The Undertaker?
Well, I tell you what, I'm really rooting for Shane McMahon, because I tell you, if Shane McMahon does defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, I think it's going to be good for the WWE, because I think that Shane is going to come in now and going to make some new changes there and get things, off the ground. And, and I think the changes or whatever is going to come is going to be good for the company. So I'm rooting for Shane, even though I love The Undertaker, but I think there needs to be some changes there, and some, start all over with some stuff, and get this thing up, back up like it once was. So I'm rooting for Shane.
What is something you wish people knew about you?
Well, I wish that people would kind of ask me, maybe something about maybe my life before professional wrestling. A lot of people, they think, once you're on TV that you lived this good life and you went to college and you did all this stuff. Well, my life, I came from drugs and alcohol, and I never had a chance to go to college. And so God bless, I didn't even get a high school education. I went back and got my GED. So I enjoy talking about, my past life, because I'm able to talk about it. A lot of people I know was doing the things that I was doing. They're dead and gone now. So, to be able to share my story with some young people or either old people, anybody that I can help and give them some advice so that they don't, live that life that I live. And get on the right track, and that's what I'd like to do.
We definitely want to thank you so much again for joining us today. We'd love to have you back on anytime, maybe whenever you get the website launched again and the book as well. But please don't forget to follow Teddy Long at Teddy Play Along, and the website is teddylong.com, correct?
Right. And another thing, too, hey, if you guys go to the website, I'd like for you to hit me back and let me know what you like, or if you don't like something, then let me know about that so maybe we can fix it. So I'd appreciate hearing from all of the players, and let me know what you think about it.
All right, once again, thanks to Teddy Long. Jonathan, WrestleMania weekend is upon us. I can't wait. I know you're excited. I'm excited. Is it going to be one hell of a show?
It always is. It's WrestleMania. That's what the whole point of it is. It is the show of shows, and I think as you're listening to this today, just remember why you love wrestling whenever you're watching it this weekend, and maybe not take it so seriously. I'm not telling people what to think or what to do. I just think that sometimes we, in our minds, blow things up way bigger than what actually happens or whatever, and then we automatically dislike everything. So try to find some good points in all of the matches, and we're looking forward to you being here with us again next week.